It seems like the standard operating procedure under Donald Trump across much of the federal government is that there should be no one watching the watchers. There should be no accountability inside of these large and incredibly important organizations. And we've got a particular case study of something like that today that we want to talk about. And to do so, we welcome back to the show, having not been on the show in almost a day, Dave Leventhal, federal politics reporter and senior reporter, Center for Public Integrity. Welcome back.
Hey, good to be with you.
Great to have you here again so soon. And so we want to talk about the Federal Elections Commission, the search to replace the vacant internal watchdog, which became an incredibly dramatic affair. Could you break that down for us?
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that the Federal Election Commission's inspector general position would be a source of great drama for the Federal Election Commission or otherwise. But bottom line is that it's been more than 2 years since they've had anyone in this position. And really what it is, John, is a watchdog for the watchdog. What does the Federal Election Commission do? Well, it's an agency that has been set up for the past 40 odd years to ensure that campaign finance laws in this country are enforced and that they're regulated. But it's an agency with about 350 people in it. And sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes things don't work well. It's a job of the inspector general to make sure that things are working well. And if there are accusations or allegations of wrongdoing or inefficiency or fraud or corruption, it really falls to them in many cases to go ahead and investigate that and root that out. But basically, there have been just a number of pitfalls and stumbles along the way for a 2+ year period now that has caused not only the inspector general position to be vacant, but for the past 5 months, the deputy inspector general position to also be vacant, which means that the office is effectively non-functional. It can't release reports, it can't do investigations, can't do audits, really can't do anything at all. And we don't have an end in sight, even though when I talked to commissioners, they said the end is near. We'll see about that.
Yeah, they might have meant in a more general sense about the planet. So let's talk about Beverly Davis and her attempts to fill this spot. That was a tumultuous situation as well that actually resulted in her leaving the organization too, correct?
Right. So she was a kind of a mid-level human resources official. And the way that this process works is that you have candidates who come in, they apply for the job, they get vetted initially, it goes to a search committee, and then that search committee makes recommendations to the Federal Election Commission for this very important inspector general job. Well, there was a dispute, and one that lasted several weeks at the FEC back in March, or rather May of last year, where Beverly Davis, this human resources official, was saying, hey, look, there are a whole bunch of people who are not qualified. I'm not going to send them on the process. And a whole bunch of other people got involved and said, no, you should be sending these people forward. And kind of at the heart of this was a staff lawyer for one of the commissioners of the Federal Election Commission. So there was this big to-do, this big round dispute, and it ended with Beverly Davis resigning from the organization and actually pulling down the open job posting on her way out. And as a result of that, because the federal government works in the way that the federal government does, they sort of had to start the search at the FEC from square one, and it delayed what was already a process that had lasted more than a year at that point, many months going forward. So that is just one of the several issues along the way, and they still don't have an inspector general as we have this conversation today.
So I want to end on the stakes. So this position has now been vacant. Actually, not just one, but 2 levels deep. The position has been vacant. It could take some time before it's filled. Worst case scenario, what might be going on that won't be caught because there's no internal mechanism right now to actually catch it?
Well, for example, there was an issue back in 2017 where the current chairperson of the Federal Election Commission, Ellen Weintraub, there were accusations that she was using her position improperly by making statements against President Donald Trump. There was a conservative organization that made those accusations formally, and ultimately they were investigated by the Inspector General's office. The Inspector General said that Commissioner Weintraub, now Chairman Weintraub, had done no wrong, but if there were accusations against any other commissioner for any other reason, it would ostensibly fall to the Inspector General's office to do it. The Inspector General's office can't do anything right now of that sort, so as a result, those types of complaints, they would just simply not be investigated. There are also other things, too, about operations, about taxpayer dollars being used properly that get can't get investigated. And then finally, there are right now 50 recommendations that the Inspector General's office has made for the Federal Election Commission that haven't been responded to or addressed in a way that they're supposed to be. And there are not going to be other ones that are added to that list because, again, the Inspector General's office can't do its job.
Yeah, which sounds bad for the mission statement of the organization, but not necessarily bad for some people who prefer to have no cop on the beat where corruption might be going on. Dave Leventhal, thank you as always for joining us. The full story breaking all of this down is available at publicintegrity.org, and NBCnews.com has also picked it up. So we really appreciate you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.